Oklahoma State University in 1988 with a degree in electronics engineering. Our next honor roll inductee is the current manager of the Federal Aviation Administration's Radar Product Division. The son of proud parents Lyle and Norma Jerome, Darren Jerome began his career with the FAA as a radar systems engineer. He worked his way up to senior radar systems engineer, and right before our eyes, he was managing systems providing critical aircraft surveillance data to air traffic control for safe flight throughout the United States of America. Who says you can't get a quality education at Perry High School? Darren's first management position included overseeing terminal radars and as an assistant division manager over all radar. He helped to support national radar programs, computer automation systems, communication systems, and business management systems until the FAA selected him to lead the Radar Product Division in 2009. This division provides 24/7 support for radar parts and services necessary for the safe and effective operation of over 900 aerospace systems nationally, U.S. Department of Defense systems, and the National Weather and Advisory radar systems. As the manager of the RPD, I coined that phrase, Darren. Darren manages a $38 million annual budget in supply chain activities and maintenance, and repair and overhaul for the agency's radar parts program. Mr. Jerome's management provides jobs for 150 government employees and 70 federal contractors. In 2013, Darren became a graduate of the Federal Executive Institute Office of Management and Budget Leadership for Democratic Society, providing integrated logistics support for next-gen air traffic control systems. Mr. Jerome has also played a key role in the FAA's evolution into the future of air traffic control modernization. Darren and his wife Barbara live in Norman, Oklahoma, and are members of Journey Church. They have 2 daughters and 1 stepdaughter, Ashley Barber and Aubrey Howe, Trina Settle, and 2 stepsons, Brian and Matthew McCauley, and 6 grandchildren. Friends, it's an honor and a privilege to introduce from the class of 1983, the guy along with his father and mother who taught me how to water ski, the 2015 PHS Honor Roll inductee, Darren Jerome.
For years. Back in the summers when we were kids, if it wasn't raining, we were on the golf course playing golf. And with our Chi Rodriguez Jr. dinner sets. Remember the day Chuck was all fired up? He had a full set of golf clubs that he got from his mom. And we had to go try that out. So that was a fun memory. I want to thank the Alumni Association for this nomination and this feedback. I know about electronics. I think we're good. So thank you for nominating me and selecting me for this recognition. When I graduated in 1983 from Perry High School, this was the last thing I thought I would ever be doing, the things that Chuck read there, and being recognized this award. Before the invocation, the pastor said something about some of us are like a turtle on a post, and I definitely feel that way. Someone put me here, and there's a verse we say at our church every day, and it's Ephesians 3:20, that God can do anything far more than you can ever get, imagine, guess, or request in your wildest dreams. And I cannot imagine or guess or request to have this honor and the job that I have in my wildest dreams. I never thought I would do anything like this. A friend of mine, Mike Zorba, he's here at my table. He moved back to Oklahoma, and I hadn't seen him for years and years since we graduated high school. And we go into his garage and he grabs his skateboard and he goes, "Hey man, remember this?" And it was a skateboard, and I had one just like it when we went to TGNY and bought these, and Mike Zorba still has his skateboard. And he jumped on the thing and rode it down his driveway. And he was getting it. But I asked him, he said, "What do you do at FAA?" And I told him, and I said, "Did you ever think I would do anything like that?" And he said, "No." So, first of all, I have to thank God for giving me the talents to do the things that I do. It's far more than I ever deserved or could imagine. The job has allowed me to work with all kinds of diverse people from all over the country, different races, different regions. I got to see the most interesting places in the world. I've worked in swamps, mountaintops, coast to coast. I tell a story my uncle likes about almost dying in a snowcat coming off a mountain out by Yellowstone Park in a blizzard. I have to thank my mom and dad. They have a lot of faith in me. They paid for my college at Oklahoma State, the best university in Oklahoma. But if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have gone to college. They supported me. They were behind me all the way. They showed me how to be loyal. And those of you that know my mom and dad, they worked at the same company basically their whole life when they started. My dad started at Ditch Witch when it was downtown. And I believe the building is still there. And he worked there until he retired, and he worked his way up through the ranks. And my mother, she worked at the Exchange Bank, started there as a teller, and worked her way up to, I believe, vice president. She could be the president because she owned that bank. So I've done the same thing in my job. I started at the FAA in 1988 as an engineer, and I worked my way up, and I worked for the same line of business the whole time. Not just the FAA, but the same location. So the folks, my leader and mentors, saw that I had potential, I believe, and they said, "We need to move him around so he can get some more experience." So I went kicking and screaming, and I actually managed a business unit full of accountants for a year, and that was interesting. I went in there with a big head. You know, I'm an engineer, and this accounting stuff is addition and subtraction, so how hard can that be, right? And I have a whole new respect for accounting folks. Putting together a business plan for the logistics center that does not just the radar, but all of the systems that support the whole country. It's over 200 million, and we usually hit that within 1 or 2% every year. My mom and dad, they always encouraged me with the things that I did at home, my math science experiments and things like that. My room, my mom would always say, "I'm scared to go in there," because I had things plugged into the wall and wires running everywhere, and that was before I knew how to solder wires together to connect them properly. So everything was twisted wires and black tape. And you don't do that with household wiring coming out of the wall. And I bought outlets from TGNY, and black tape, wired them up, put black tape around it, taped them to a metal shelf. I had lights and switches and fans, and I had a little fan that it would blow on me at night, and I could adjust how fast it would go. I'm sorry I'm nerding out. People I work with, we're in meetings, and I start reverting back to talking about engineering stuff and working on the equipment and all the other people that don't get into the technical stuff. Their eyes start rolling there. Here he goes again. So I'm trying to focus now. I have to thank my beautiful wife, Barbara. She, sorry, get a little emotional sometimes. She supported me through all the time I'd be gone. I spent a lot of time away from home, especially when I was an engineer. I'd had to travel a lot. I had sort of a reputation out in the field for figuring things out on radar systems that the field techs couldn't figure out. And when I got out of college and I started working as an engineer. The FAA had a really good budget, and I could get the best state-of-the-art test equipment that you could buy, Hewlett-Packard, Agilent, and things like that. And I could connect to a system, look all the way through an antenna, and I could tell exactly what was wrong with it just by hooking into one end of it. And they thought that was amazing. But to me, it was really simple and neat, and they thought I was cool. They thought I was cool, so I liked that. That's what I was doing on the mountain in the blizzard when I about died in the snowcat. So I need to thank my daughters. It's great that all three of you are here today. I'm really proud of you all. This is the first time we've all been together in a long time. That's really special to me. I remember one weekend I missed being with them. An antenna got blown off the pedestal at the Boston airport, and Boston doesn't have a backup radar, so they had to go to what's called SINRAP, to a long-range radar, which meant they could only land a plane every 5 minutes instead of every 1 minute. So Boston Logan was down to 20% capacity on Easter weekend, and I went out to the center, picked out all the antenna parts that we needed. The Air Force flew in a C-130 jet. We loaded it on there, and I flew out with them the next day, and we installed that radar. I worked all day and all night, living on coffee and donuts. But that was quite an experience. It was raining too. I've never been so cold in my life. But it seemed like that occurrence after that, a lot of higher level managers saw what I did and how I led that and got that on the air in 96 hours after it crashed. And that's when people started pushing me into leadership positions. I have to thank my uncle Norman Fields. He's here. He's my mother's twin brother. When I was going to OSU and I was a freshman, I was really discouraged. When I was in high school, I didn't study like I should have, and I thought I knew what I was doing. And when I got to college, I learned that I was not studying correctly. And I told my Uncle Norman I had a test. I said, "Norman, I studied 4 hours for this test and I got a C." He said, "Son," and he had a formula. I think he said for every 1 hour in class, you need to spend 2 hours studying. Is that right? Yeah. And I started doing that, and I started doing a lot better. And Norman helped me with trigonometry. I still don't get trig. I never did get trig. I did get a C in that class, but that was okay. Norman would always say, 2 pi radians, think like that. And I'm like, "Pie, let's get some ice cream." Back to my teachers in Perry. Growing up in Perry, had some of the best teachers I could think of that really, I think I had the talents there, but they really fostered me to grow. And first I want to recognize Miss Hellen Fuller. She's here at my table. Stand up, Mrs. Fuller. I want to say I had the best looking first grade teacher. She was great. I believe was in my class the first class? Yes. Your first class. So it was really cool. One thing that she did that really stood out when everyone in her first grade class, when they graduated high school, she handmade a congratulations letter and sent to everyone, and I thought that was cool. You know, when you graduate, people send you money and gifts and things like that. But to have something special and handmade from someone, you know, that was great. Thank you for that. Mrs. Fuller she really disliked it when people would chew on their pencils. We had, I don't know why, they give first graders these giant pencils with no eraser. And the kids would put it in their mouth and there'd be teeth marks, and she'd go around and she'd inspect people's pencils to see how many teeth marks there were. But her room was very organized. And the desks were aligned. I mean, she didn't go do that, but she made sure we kept our desks aligned. And it was very orderly, quiet. She was a very professional teacher, and I really loved that class. Mr. Kinnamon, Mike Kinnamon, would you please stand up? wiring. I was telling him about the big red batteries, and he would have schematic diagrams and circuits to go hook up, and I just was natural at that, and I would just hook that stuff up so fast, and I would help the other students and show them how to do that type of thing. We do a science project, and I had to have the coolest one from Radio Shack. It was called the 150-in-1 electronics kit. And I believe you can still buy those today, but it was really neat. It had, sorry, I'm going to geek out for a second, but it had a bunch of capacitors, inductors, resistors. It had an LED display and a transistor. You could build a radio, counters. It made all sorts of noises. Lie detector was a weird thing it made. All kinds of things. So when they had recess, I would be over there with my 151 kit by the guys playing kickball. But, that was cool, so that really got me going. The science fair, he was a big proponent of that. Everyone would have a science project, and he would have all of his shocking things out there, and they would literally shock you bad. We would line up around the whole auditorium at the old grade school, and all hold hands, and someone would wind that thing up. The bravest guy was on the end, and he would actually touch it, and the whole ring around the ring just goes, ah! Thank you, Mr. Kinnamon, for everything that you've done. One thing I left out was the rockets we built, and that was really cool. And we would go, it would be a Saturday morning down to Daniels Field and shoot the rockets off. And I really loved that, and I bought a lot of rockets after that, and we shot them off at my grandpa's farm out in Orlando. That was some really good memories. One person I want to remember that's not with us anymore was Mike Doughty, Mr. Doughty. He was a great teacher and a great coach. I was on the golf team. I was the number 4 guy on the golf team. I think, Chuck, you were still in junior high at that time. But the cool thing Mr. Doughty would do, he would make sure everyone felt important. I think it was Blackwell. We were at a match, and I don't believe we won, but we did win, but I got beat in my individual match. We had, is it Steve Sewell? There's a Sewell kid on our team. He was really good, and he carried us most of the time. So I lost my match, but I happened to have one really good hole that it was a dog leg right, I remember, and I hit my 3-wood out there, and I asked the guy that I was playing against, so where's the hole at? I couldn't see it, so I hit my 3-wood again, and my ball goes and disappears around the corner. We went up there, and my ball was 3 foot from the hole, so I tapped that in and got a birdie. Well, Mr. Doughty pointed out, hey, and he did this in front of the whole team after the match, kind of our team huddle. He says, I want to point out one important play that someone made, and it was the birdie that Darren made on hole number whatever, that helped us win this. So it was great how he would recognize even something that was insignificant and make it significant. And I try to do that in my life, in leadership throughout, when I'm talking to a team of people to try and solve problems. Like when I came into management, we had a lot of parts for radar systems that didn't have stock available. And I asked my people, I said, so which part do you manage that's the least important, that if somebody ordered it, they didn't care if they got it or not? And the room was silent, and the answer was, there's nothing that's not important on a radar system. If Atlanta, Georgia orders a radar part, they want it. They want it right now. So our stock levels increased drastically after I started coaching people like that. And I learned that from Mr. Doughty. Another person I want to recognize that I had from 5th grade through senior, and that's Mr. Bill Rodder. Stand up, Mr. Rodder. He showed me how, demonstrated, and I emulate what he does every day at work, how to lead a group of people. And it's not about work, it's about having a good time, so work is fun. You know, when we went out there, marching band practice at 7 a.m. in the morning, you knew what your job was. He was direct and clear, and we even had fun at 7 in the morning. I remember that. He taught me how to concentrate. I remember one time in 5th or 6th grade, we were at the old grade school, and some of the kids weren't following along. We didn't play many songs, we just played like scales and things. And they weren't following along, so he tried to make an example, and he came up behind me and he says, "Watch this." He goes, "Jerome, play that line right there." So I got my clarinet and I'm playing it, and he comes up with his trumpet and he blasts the same notes right in the back of my head while we're playing this line, and everyone's just looking, and I didn't miss a beat. So I still remember that to this day. It's like, man, you've got to concentrate. What amazed me, though, is how Mr. Rotter, and it wasn't just him, and his team would lead all of these kids into the vision of what this is supposed to look like when you're out there marching on the field. One of the things we did the Olympic rings, and that was really cool. But it was neat how they could choreograph all of that and get the message to a bunch of kids out there. And in the morning we were doing that, learning that, and it was really cool. We had 2 band trips. We went to Colorado and to Lake Charles, Louisiana. And those were some great memories. Body language. Mr. Rotter has great body language. One time when we went to Colorado, I don't remember who it was in my little group of 5 in my line, but the person on the end was sick and they couldn't make it. Couldn't march, and the extras were the football players. Even though they were in football, they had to be there in band at practice, and they were there. And when he needed them, they would step in and do what they needed to do. Well, Troy Chironis got the call, and he was next to Barbara. It was me, Amber Oak, Tina Morley, and Barbara Russell, and person that went there, and I can't remember who it was, but Troy Chironis got the call. He says, "You're going to be in that spot, Troy." And Mr. Rotter comes down and says to the 5 of us, "I don't care what you do. I don't care if you play a note, but you make sure Mr. Chironis knows where he's going and every turn that he's going to make before he gets there." And by golly, we knew what our assignment was. And it was very clear, and Troy never missed a turn. So, 5 steps, you're going to hang right, and left away. We had the 9 to 5 steps? 8 to 5, sorry. How could I mess that up? One of my greatest memories of Perry High School class of 1983 is we were a real family. There was no, we had our little cliques and here and there, but it was a family atmosphere. We all loved each other. There was no racism or bigotry. This is like everyone was an individual and they were all included. And that also went along with all of the members of the band. Really loved that. Great memories at Perry High School. And this is an awesome banquet, and I'm going to come back here every year. I didn't know they did this. So thank you for nominating me, folks of the alumni. And this is a true honor, and I truly appreciate it. Thank you very much.